The Atari 5200 is a console that I only recently started learning about and playing. Now, I did have one growing up, but we unfortunately couldn't play it because we didn't have any working controllers. And I had one briefly in the late aughts, but again, I didn't play it much, and that's simply because I didn't acquire many cartridges. So to be honest, my experience begins in 2023 and just goes on to today. So today, I have the best setup that I could imagine for experiencing the Super System, and it's especially better than at any other point in my life. I have rebuilt one of the controllers shortly after acquiring the console, and it still works great to this very day. I also acquired a second controller for use on Space Dungeon and Robotron 2084, but that controller only has a functioning joystick and triggers that require a lot of force to get a response from. So the point is that I'm relatively new to the 5200 console, but in that short period, I've experienced a lot of games. I've received several of the better games on cartridge, which I'll be talking about soon. But I also acquired an Atari Max Ultimate SD multi-cart to make sure I could experience as much as possible. And to be honest, I have experienced a lot. I also purchased several homebrew. I bought a few 400 and 800 ports, and I even downloaded some prototypes to play. So, again, while my time was short, it's time well spent. And I want to share what I feel are the best games on the console for people who are like I was 2 or 3 short years ago. That is to say, people new to the console. So today, let's dive into the best Atari 5200 games you can pick up and play. But first, just a couple honorable mentions. When working out the list, I had to try to narrow it down to 10 games, but there's ones I really didn't want to cut, so much so that I want to mention them here. And my first honorable mention is Kicks. This is an incredibly simple game, but man, it's really enjoyable. And I've enjoyed it on just about every platform I've ever tried it on. You simply try to color in as much of the playfield as possible while avoiding everything else that moves. If you've never given Kicks a try and have a 5200, go pick it up. It's cheap, it's fun, and it's readily available. The second title was in the top 10 for quite a while, but after replaying some other games and thinking about it a little, well, I had to reduce it to an honorable mention. Dreadnought Factor is a game that I absolutely adore, and it's excellent in both premise and execution. You play as a lone pilot fighter who must take on massive destroyer-sized battleships that are packed to the brim with artillery and defensive capabilities. Dreadnought Factor does get repetitive after a while, and it's nowhere near perfect, but this Activision game is a ton of fun, and one that every 5200 owner needs to check out at least once. My last honorable mention is Magical Fairy Force. This is a unique little arena combat shooter title that defies definition. You try to power yourself up and force your enemy to make mistakes and lose their lives. And if you do that, then you move on to the next 1 vs 1 battle with another combatant from the cast of colorful characters. If you want to give this very unique title a try, then head over to Steam and search for Magical Fairy Force. Or go over to Atari Age and get the 5200 cart. Either way, it's pretty good. Alright, enough honorable mentions. It's time to get on to my personal top 10 5200 games. Number 10, Defender. Defender is a fantastic game on any platform, but there is something about the zippy movement and tight gameplay in the Atari 5200 version that really draws me in. The graphics are simple, but they don't need to be any more than what they are. I mean, it would be nice, but they don't need to be improved on. Defender is one of those simple, easy to pick up and play games that I come back to time after time. Number 9, Gyrus. Gyruss is a really unique take on a genre that is really overplayed back in the Atari age. Space shooters had yet to evolve into the horizontal and vertical scrolling varieties of the shmups and bullet hells of the future, for the most part. But this game's brilliant, circular movement and enemy patterns make it feel different to nearly everything else out there. Parker Brothers didn't release a whole lot in the Atari 5200, but this game stands out enough to remind everybody that they were part of the early video game industry. Good luck warping to Uranus. Number 8. Rescue on Fractalus. My first two games on the list were fast-paced, arcade action shooters, but Rescue on Fractalus by Lucasfilms is a slow-moving rescue simulator. You launch in a colorful tunnel and explore a planet in order to rescue stranded pilots and crewmen. And you'll need to utilize the 5200's number pad to work the various features of your ship while doing so. I love the early attempt at three-dimensional gameplay, and it works so much better than you might expect if you've never played the game before. Rescue on Fractalus might not have aged perfectly, but I personally always have a blast exploring the landscapes and avoiding laser fire. Number 7. Kofi Yellow Copter. I hadn't played this homebrew gem until after I started this list, and I did so on a whim. And boy, am I ever glad that I did. Now I'll be honest, to start the game it was confusing. I didn't have a manual, and I died a few times before I realized what was going on. You play as a yellow helicopter that must rescue wildlife and collect water in order to put out forest fires. The rain, while initially looking like obstacles, is actually what you want to collect. So the premise is simple at its core, and by the end of my time playing Kofi, I was having a ton of fun. More fun than I would have had with many, many other 5200 titles. So, give it a go, especially if you haven't been looking at Atari 5200 homebrew and want to experience something brand new on the console. Well, not brand new, but newer. Number 6. Hero. Activision supported the 5200 with a lot of its better titles, including Pitfall, Keystone Capers, Kaboom, and this title, Hero. In Hero, you explore caves to rescue stranded explorers, and you have a jetpack and a laser at your disposal in order to clear paths, defeat bats, and kill spiders. Hero is a lot of fun and really easy to control, and the difficulty increases at a slow but steady rate that feels just natural. If you've played Hero on other consoles and enjoyed it, then give the 5200 Super System port a try. It's personally one of my favorites on the console. Number 5. Vanguard. Vanguard is a cool shooter where you take a ship through a cave system, and it includes a lot of variety for an early game. It feels like a large connected adventure thanks to the maps and the boss fight at the end of each tunnel. You also have a unique shooting system where you can shoot up, down, left, and right. And I just adored this game from the moment I got the cartridge at a local game store. I went back and replayed the 2600 version of Vanguard after this one. And, well, for me, the 5200 port is where it's at. Number 4. Moon Patrol. Moon Patrol is yet another simple concept that is addictive and fun. Every time I die in a pothole or from enemy fire, I feel like I could have avoided it and end up trying just one more time. Your little moon buggy moves nicely in the Super System port, and as long as you have a good working controller, it's very responsive. Out of all of the games on this list, Moon Patrol might be the most addictive for myself. And it has a really cool audio track that plays as well, which is always a nice bonus. Number 3. Space Dungeon. I'm a huge fan of twin-stick shooters such as Robotron 2084, Black Widow Recharge, Smash TV, and the Xbox indie creator Hidden Gem. I made a game with zombies in it. So I knew that Space Dungeon would be right up my alley. But man, I wasn't expecting this game to be as good as it was. And I think it's the early exploration element that elevates it above some of the other earlier twin-stick games. That simple aspect just added a bit of depth, as well as the nice enemy design that is more functional than pretty to look at. All this makes it an Atari 5200 title that is worth experiencing if you have enough working controllers to do so. Number 2, Gremlins. This game would have been my number 1 back in 2023 and early 2024. It's a super late release title for the console, and features the fun, arcade gameplay that you would expect from an Atari game. The main character is nice and large, and animates well, and the iconic gremlin enemies are equally as nice looking, and there's a lot of depth to this deceptively simple looking game. You have to pick up mogwai before they eat, kill gremlins before they touch water and multiply, and try to prevent them from turning on various kitchen equipment that spews food around the levels. It's truly a great game, and I'm so glad that it was released for the 5200. And my number 1 Atari 5200 title is Adventure 2. Most Atari fans, and retro gamers in general, will know and enjoy Adventure. Adventure 2 is a homebrew title that was made official thanks to Atari of 15 or so years ago. They were working with the community, and they made a smart choice by making this an official game in the series. And it feels like the perfect sequel in my eyes. There are nice environments to explore, the items and enemies that you know and love, along with a few new ones thrown in, and secrets to keep it spicy for a while to come. Start off on the easier difficulties and work your way up for maximum enjoyment. And if you know the release year of the original Adventure, you can expand your character sprite by a fair bit. Anyway, Adventure 2 is smart, fun, and equally as iconic as the original, in my eyes. And I recommend everybody who owns a 5200 to pick this one up over at Atari Age. And there you have it, my top 10 Atari 5200 games, according to me. Now, keep in mind that I've played a lot of the library, but not everything. So it's possible I simply haven't played a game that would otherwise be on this list. And that's where you all come in. I want to know if you guys agree with my list, which games you would put where, and if there are any titles I need to try for future top 10 lists. Let me know about all this and more in the comments down below. And please leave a like if you enjoyed the list, and subscribe if you haven't already. We cover all things Atari on the channel, from Pong to the new Atari VCS, and everything in between. So hit the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload. Alright guys, I've been the 7800 Pro Gamer, a man who enjoys ranking things because I'm a neurotic weirdo here at the Atari Network, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. And until next time, remember to stay classy, Atarians.